Welcome back to GA Fan TV. Cork 15 points, Kerry 114. Kerry get out of jail. They get out of jail at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. They escape with the victory. They escape with the win. But I tell you what, this was very, very close. And Cork will be coming out of that thinking, how on earth did we actually not win that game in the end? A strange game because Kerry looked all right in the first half. I don't think they were overly brilliant, but they looked very comfortable. They were keeping the ball. Sean O'Shea gave a very good performance in the first half. And then in the second half, it was just like a complete switch. Cork just completely changed it up. They were no longer keeping the ball and sort of being wasteful in possession. They were attacking Kerry. They went for Kerry's throat. They threw the shackles off and they went for it. And in some ways, they got the reward for it because they had some brilliant points. Sean Potter, what a brilliant performance from him. I mean, that was a top-class performance from him, I felt. I thought he had a very, very good game for Cork. Probably man of the match, even though he got that black card, but I still think he had a very good game in fairness. And Cork they upset Kerry. Kerry looked a little bit on the ropes. And obviously the goal, I mean, I feel sorry for Cork in some ways because, like, according to the rule book, it is a penalty because he stopped the goal scoring opportunity. Even though it was outside the box, like Paul Gainey was running through. Now, whether he actually would have went for a goal, I don't know. He could have just hand passed it over. Like, he mightn't have actually went for a goal, but it was a goal scoring opportunity. So from the letter of the law, it is a penalty according to the rule book. But how often do you see that rule enforced? Very rarely, in my opinion. Very rarely do you see referees enforce that rule. And I think it's a little unfortunate from a Cork perspective that has happened to them, because I've seen a lot of them throughout the entirety of the year and penalties haven't been given. To be honest with you, I didn't even know that rule was a thing. I remember that rule existed during the lockdown, especially in the hurling championship. I didn't know that rule still existed because I haven't seen it enforced, to be honest with you. So, like, it's the right decision in the end for Sean Potter's foul on Paul Gainey, but it is harsh. And I think from a Cork perspective, they will feel a little bit unlucky that that's been done to them because, like, there hasn't been any consistency with that decision throughout the entirety of the year. And, should Kerry have got a red card for Darragh Moynihan's challenge in the second half, the sort of heavy hit, had his arm around the neck of one of the Cork players? I think he could have been a straight red. It looked quite aggressive, to be honest with you. So, I think Cork can definitely feel a little bit aggrieved that some of their decisions did not go their way. But I think ultimately where Cork lost the game, in my opinion, was the first half. Like, their shooting was just very, very poor. Even at times in the second half, like, we see this a lot with teams. And even I was at the Meath and Down game earlier today, and it was very similar. Teams get 45s or get frees in and around the 40 to 45 metre line. And even if they've missed a couple, they'll just keep taking them over and over again. And it's the definition of insanity in many ways, just seeing the same things over and over again, miss after miss. They should mix it up, change it, change the player, change the kick taker. I know Cork did that in certain points. Obviously, Stephen Sherlock came on. He went on them then instead of Brian Hurley. Hurley was fairly effective. He just missed one on his right-hand side at the start of the second half. But maybe just go short. Maybe work a score. Maybe try just, take the ball further sort of in around the 20-metre line and then go for it. Do you know what I mean? I know it's tough. Kerry were set up very well, but I do think at times Cork were the architects to their own downfall, in my opinion. Just a little bit poor shooting. There was one Chris O'Jones in the first half, missed a relatively easy score from about 15 metres. He had no pressure on him whatsoever, and he popped it a good bit wide. There could have been 2 goals there, and he would have missed that one as well. So, yeah, like, it was... like, you feel a bit frustrated for Cork that they couldn't get over the line. But in fairness, they brought the battle. They brought the energy. And I think Cork fans will feel confident going into the Mayo game. They don't need to win. It would have been nice for them to get the win today. It would have guaranteed a top 2 finish. But they'll be in that third position. And I think out of all the sides who could finish third, I think Cork is the one team that you probably don't want to get, in my opinion, because they are, like, especially in these games against bigger teams, they raise their game and their big players stand up. We've seen Stephen Sherlock score some brilliant points late on. Owen McSweeney, who came off the bench, looks like a very good player. Sean Potter as well was very impressive. But yeah, from a Kerry perspective, I don't know what was. Like, it was the Sean O'Shea story in the first half, and then in the second half, it nearly looked like he was taken off. You nearly forget he was on the pitch. It was the tale of 2 complete halves for Sean O'Shea. Had a huge amount of influence in the first half, And then in the second half, he just wasn't in the game whatsoever. And whether that was to do with Cork sort of putting their dominance and having more of the ball, it's hard to know. But he definitely didn't have the same impact in the second half as opposed to the first. And look, I suppose the common trend is that, Kerry are very reliant on David Clifford this year. And you could argue they are again, 1-4 in the second half for Kerry, and David Clifford scored 1-2, I think 1-3 actually, now that I think about it. So yeah, like it just wasn't, Kerry will be happy enough with the victory. And I know maybe some neutral fans and some Kerry fans will be the idea, will have the thought process that, Kerry are just saving themselves for an All-Ireland quarter final. But if they could have lost today, and if they had a loss today, they would have went into a preliminary round game as the third place side, meaning they could have played one of Dublin, Roscommon, possibly Tyrone, an Armagh, a Derry. Like, they would have had a very tough game, and there's no guarantee they'd even get to an All-Ireland quarter final had they have lost today. So yeah, I think Kerry have massive work to do, to be honest with you. There was just a lot of, they just didn't look arsed in the second half. It wasn't even that they played poorly or they were terrible or anything like that. Like, they just didn't look bothered at all. And game management wise, wasn't good. It seemed like Cork had the run on them. Cork definitely had the run on them. That they were tackling, they were intercepting balls, they were quicker, sharper, and Kerry just looked like they were hanging on in the end. I think if that game goes on an extra 5-10 minutes, I think Cork win it. And I think from a Kerry perspective, look, how often do those decisions with Paul Ganey being fouled outside the box, ref gives it a penalty because it was a goal scoring opportunity. So by the letter of the law, it's the right decision. But how often do you see them given? Very rarely, very rarely. So I think Kerry dodged the bullet ever so slightly today. But there we go. It happens every time ref decisions go against us. Not penalty, but Cork should have done better in the first half. I think, I don't know how the rule book works, to be honest with you. Like, as I said, it's the first time I've seen that rule imposed, I think, in a championship match in Gaelic football. So obviously David Goff knows the rule book. I don't. So look, if by the letter of the law, maybe it is a penalty, but it's very harsh because we haven't seen that decision given once in any other game. So that's why I think Cork can feel aggrieved. Plenty. How many times did Cork have opportunities in other games where they were going through on goal, player was brought down outside the box in a goal scoring opportunity, and the ref didn't give a penalty? So that's why I think Cork can feel aggrieved. And yeah, it should have been a red card for Darragh Moynihan, in my opinion. And it wasn't given. So there was a lot of I felt Kerry were getting quite indisciplined with their tackles as well. They were giving away a lot of frees, a lot of bad challenges digging in. Even that one from David Clifford at the end, it was just needless, So yeah, look, Kerry won't be going anywhere. They'll still be there. You'd fancy them now to get, at least finish second in this group at best, because you'd imagine they'd get the better of Louth. Who will they play as one of the third place sides? We'll have to obviously wait and see. You'd be surprised at this stage if Kerry didn't get to a quarter final, just because of some of the teams that they're likely to play in that preliminary round game. But what you would say from a Kerry perspective is that they have a lot of work to do going into those quarterfinals if they get there, because will they beat a Galway? I don't think they will, to be honest with you. And depends who else they could get. Dublin, I mean, Roscommon might give them a game if they finish top. Maybe Dublin will. You just don't know. But yeah, a lot of work to do from a Kerry perspective. And my opinion, I think man of the match has to go to David Clifford. He scored two brilliant points towards the end of the game. Daniel O'Mahony did a very good job on him marking wise in the first half, but Clifford just completely, spun him around in circles in the second half, made him dizzy. And that was, it was a lot better from Clifford in the second half. And not that he was poor in the first half, but Daniel O'Mahony just did a very good job at sort of keeping him out of the game. But he stood up when he needed to, and that's the sign of big players. Like maybe when the players around you aren't playing too well and your team as a collective aren't playing too well, big players stand up and get you over the line. And that could be a difference for Kerry this season, in fairness, if they are going to retain their All-Ireland Championship. But yeah, let me know your opinions, your thoughts in the comments down below. We'll be going live after the Dublin-Kildare game for a reaction to that. Hopefully it's a lot more positive than recent Dublin games. And I will be doing a live watch along for the Armagh Tyrone game a little bit later as well. So yeah, Festival of Football today. Absolutely loving it. If you love it, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you all soon.